We are reading from the Yoga Sutras. This is our online class number 32 on this holy book. We are studying the second chapter, aphorism number 40 onwards. I need to refer to our earlier discussion. Let us recall what we were studying in our last class or classes. We were learning the first one of the 5 niyamas or rules of yoga preliminaries. That is known as shaucha, cleanliness or purity. I ended my talk last time looking into the implied meaning of Sri Krishna's word nirahara, used in the Gita verse in the second chapter. He says, aspirants may withdraw the senses from their objects of enjoyment, but the taste, rasa, for the sense objects lingers on. However, even this taste ceases for those who realize the Supreme. Until that happens, this taste continues. The rasa. In Sanskrit language, nir means no. Ahara means food. Niraharasya dehinaha means of the person who has abandoned food. This may create a doubt that a person who has abandoned food and starving will not be capable of enjoying the objects of the senses. A person suffering from capability deficiency, so to say, or something like that. Then there will be a risk that as soon as the man restarts eating again, he will be capable of enjoying the sense objects once again. This is not the intended meaning of the word nirahara. It means that a nirahara yogi is one who has controlled the sense organs so much so that the sense organs take in only those experiences that are beneficial for this person's spiritual journey. Such yogis are not starving from food, both physical and mental, but are capable of controlling their greed for harmful food. As Shankaracharya has clarified, we understand that food means all that is taken in with the help of even the sense organs. A nirahara yogi will use discernment or the faculty of differentiation while taking in food or ahara. This is a process of shaucha or purification. Well, so long we were investigating one sense organ known as the eyes. One can study the scope of shaucha in respect of each one of the other sense organs, including the mind. There are at least 11 of them. However, it is the mind which is the main focus of this book, the Yoga Sutras. We came up to this discussion, and then now we will continue further with that. So, leaving the analysis of other sense organs aside, let us study shaucha or purification in respect of the chitta shuddhi or mental purification techniques recommended by 4 different yogas. Of course, I will look at the contribution of each yoga as briefly as possible. Let us first take up the familiar one, that is the Karma Yoga. Sri Krishna says that no one can stay even for a moment without doing anything. Even thinking itself is a karma, mental work. He says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. Without doing anything, one cannot stay for even a moment. Karma Yoga teaches us how to purify our crude actions, both physical and mental. Those are done normally and instinctively for our biological survival. According to the great acharyas or teachers, there are 3 distinct ways to do so. All are actually different names of the same yoga, the Karma Yoga. Shankaracharya says that purity of the mind lies in our purifying the ego of its sense of agentship. Kartritvam means the false notion of the ego that it is the karta, the doer, or bhokta, the enjoyer. Hence, it should start any action with a personal or selfish interest. This selfish interest should be purified, which is the other name for purifying the mind. On the other hand, Sri Krishna says that one can achieve purity of mind by stopping it from hankering after the results of our actions. The results. So the intention has to be purified. That was the teaching given by Shankaracharya. Now here the hankering after results, that has to be purified. The results of our actions are not always a success. That we have to understand and accept. Any action will either produce a success or a failure at the end. Hence, both success and failure are called the results. Both. We have no control over the results. Still, we are too much hooked to that result which is called success. That puts us under tremendous stress, so much so that we cannot perform the action with peace and attention. The performance is disturbed. Sri Krishna advises us not to bother about a thing over which we have no control. Rather, he says that it is possible for God to control it because He is the controller. He is called Vidhata or Karmaphala Data, the distributor of the fruits of our actions. The fruits of actions are apurva, as they call it in the Purva Mimamsa philosophy, are inert, they are lifeless. We do some actions which should produce a transcendental result like heaven or hell. Therefore, the results of such actions, called apurva, are due after a long period of time, and they are transcendental. They transcend the scope of our life on this earth itself. They transcend our death. And nothing in the world has control over them. Then it is obvious that there should be some conscious being to write our salary checks at that distant time. This conscious being is known as God. And this analysis is given by the Purva Mimamsa philosophy, the earlier part of the Vedas. Consequently, we will do well to leave it on God and thus being free from stress, we will be able to do our work in the spirit of spiritual austerities. We are talking about work, meaning all works. Then came Sri Ramakrishna. He did not contradict both these views. Rather, he encourages us to do all actions with the spirit of our direct service to God. Then all work, I say all works, becomes number one, worship, and number two, the fruits of actions do not unduly bind us, and finally, number three, we regard work, all works, as our spiritual practices, sadhana, that will ultimately lead us to our spiritual liberation, our salvation, transcendental salvation. Now we will look at the concept of Bhakti Yoga, how it teaches us to purify the mind. It teaches us how to purify our love and attachment. We become pure or impure according to the objects we love and also the intentions with which we love. God is supremely pure. In Bhakti Yoga, we love God, and we said that God is supremely pure. He is not any object of the senses with impurities. That is why our love to Him will not bind us. Rather, it leads us to our spiritual freedom from bondage, which is called emancipation. Of course, the path initially leads us through Vaidhi Bhakti, formal ritualistic devotion, like fasting or feasting, bathing or burning the body in the sun, sleeping in the name of God, or keeping awake to take His name, etc. The practitioners of such ritualistic or even external devotion are known as the pravartakas, the beginners. Then they transcend this stage through practice and transfer the focus on Parabhakti, the supreme love of God. The Bhagavata Purana, which is known as Bhagavatam, enumerates 9 types of bhakti, like Shravanam, listening to the words that speak of God; Kirtanam, singing the glories of God; Smaranam, remembering God in every action; then Padasevanam, serving the footstool of God, that is this world; Archanam, offering things from God's own creation to Him in deep gratitude; Vandanam, praying to God; Dasyam, obeying the words of God; Sakhyam, trying to inculcate the same feeling as of God's; and finally Atmanivedanam, surrendering oneself wholly to God. Of these 9, the first 8 belong to the preliminaries to bhakti called Vaidhi Bhakti, and the last one is the culmination of all the 8, that is called Atmanivedanam, surrendering oneself wholly to God. This love of God transcends all comparisons of human love. Then we take up Chitta Shuddhi according to Jnana Yoga. It guides one to purify the intellect by viveka or discrimination, or actually discernment, and vairagya by detachment. We hear a lot about this yoga nowadays. Then the last one is called Dhyana Yoga or Raja Yoga. That is the subject matter of the Yoga Sutras itself. This teaches us to gain Chitta Shuddhi or purification of the mind by reorienting our thoughts from being guided by the harmful tendencies to being guided by pure and goal-oriented thoughts. I would like to enumerate a few steps that would help us bring about purification of the mind. They are very practical, they are connected with our living. The first step, it may be a real problem that we are so impure that we do not detect our unholy thought currents. As a result, we allow ourselves to be affected by them. We have accumulated many bad impressions on our mind. Hence, we are provoked by our unholy associations. We are aroused by them. They give us a kick, K-I-C-K, kick, as it were. We need to, at first, detect these internal and external dangers. We don't need to condemn anything just because a thing is not good for us. We may just withdraw ourselves from it. And also, such things may be useful for others. A poison may be converted into a powerful medicine, a vaccine. That is a different topic. The second step, to slowly stop all resources of evil inputs, like reading, watching TV, YouTube, meeting people, etc., should be done selectively. Should be done, but should be done selectively. This we have to do with courage and determination. Needs a lot of courage indeed. But then we cannot just sit idle without doing anything. We need to engage ourselves with something or other. We should engage our minds in good and pure alternatives. The company of holy and good people should be sought after, and that could be a powerful alternative. We may consider pilgrimages instead of tourism and so on. Then the third step, Oscar Wilde has said, every saint has a past as every sinner has a future. It is necessary to stop brooding over the past. This may be really, really difficult. Of course, all difficult goals are achieved by difficult means. Praying to God for help, that helps. Jesus has always advised people to forget about the past and not to sin anymore. This is the act of true confession. It purifies. Another sign of purity is that one doesn't see others' faults. It is a very effective tool for mental peace. Holy Mother has said, if you want peace of mind, my child, do not find fault with others. She explained psychological implication of this teaching of hers by herself. She said, one should not find fault with others because one has to bring down one's own mind to that mental level to do that. Of course, it is difficult. And who really wants peace of mind? And that is the precondition for not finding fault with others, if you want peace of mind. Let us review together at least 6 benefits of Shaucha as explained by Patanjali. Number 1, when by Shaucha the external cleanliness is meant, then one needs to practice cleanliness with one's own body, garments, living room, etc. After a considerable practice, it becomes a good habit. Then one will feel unhappy when the body is unclean, the clothes are unclean, the rooms are unclean, etc. Again, when Shaucha means purity, inner purity, then it produces the understanding that the physical body is not permanent and hence it is not holy. That produces aversion, swanga jugupsa, to the conviction that the perishable body is permanent. Similarly, it produces the discernment that attachment to another physical body is also unholy. Then the third effect is purification of the mind. We have already discussed it under Chitta Shuddhi. Fourth one is yoga's own contribution. This is the subject that we are trying to study in this whole book. Hence, I will not elaborate on this here. But to give you the gist, it is concentration of the mind that is being taught by the Yoga Sutras. Number 5, one achieves control over the senses so as to make them nirahara. Niraharasya dehinaha, Sri Krishna says in the Gita. The meaning is that the objects of sense organs vinivartate, fall back, return to their own place, being unsuccessful to engage the sense organs with them, with worldly matters. That is what is the meaning of nirahara. And number 6, finally, a purified mind is the only instrument to realize God or our divine self. Now we move to the next aphorism, that is aphorism number 41. It says, Sattva Suddhi Saumanasya Ekagrata Indriya Jaya Atma Darsana Yogyatvani Cha. There also arises, the meaning is like this, there also arises purification of the sattva, sattva suddhi. Sattva means the inner organ. Then the cheerfulness of mind, concentration, conquest of the organs, and fitness for the realization of the self. In the previous aphorism, we learned that by the practice of shaucha or purification, one will be clean both physically and mentally in thought, word and deed, and also about physical impurities. Shaucha is practiced as preliminary rules to save us from all sorts of impurities. It is also an indirect means for attaining viveka or discernment. As we have seen, Shaucha finally produces the wisdom that the body is not permanent. Hence, association with the body, the attachment with the body or other bodies will not be taken as the ultimate goal of life. By the word body, the Yoga Sutras means both gross and subtle bodies, which are products of mainly Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Then the mind will be in the form of Sattva Guna, which has its own qualities, which are being told in the aphorism under consideration. Now the present aphorism is speaking about how the mind is purified. What are the signs of a pure mind, both to the yogis and to others who come in contact with them? Yes, it is so evident. In the presence of a yogi, anyone can feel happiness, calmness, reduction of disturbing thoughts, and inspiration in following spiritual practices. What are the experiences of purity of the mind to the yogi himself or herself? How do they feel themselves? The sutra or aphorism says, Saumanasya. The mind of the yogi will be cheerful always, Saumanasya. Not for some specific times in a day, not only twice in a week, but always. This happiness need not wait for any cause to arise. It is not dependent on anything. It need not be a product of our contact with any sense objects. It is natural. And most importantly, a pure mind will not become impure again. That is the strength of purity. That is the truth about purity. From this cheerfulness or happiness of the mind arises ekagrata, that is one-pointedness or concentration. The mind is not required to be worried about anything outside or inside itself. Then it is a state of concentration for the mind. By acquiring ekagrata or concentration on one object, the yogi is said to have conquered the sense organs. Indriya Jaya. This is the state of a nirahara yogi, a yogi who will not take in worldly inputs through the doorways of sense organs. These doors are closed for the objects forever. Then the objects or the charms of the world will fail to engage the yogi's mind with them. Vishaya vinivartante, as we said. These few things, like the cheerfulness and one-pointedness of the mind, conquering the senses, etc., they produce the ability of the mind to reflect the Atman or the self on itself clearly. This is called Sattva Suddhi or Chitta Suddhi. Sattva means the mind, purification of the mind. Swami Vivekananda says, I quote, "By the practice of cleanliness, the sattva material prevails and the mind becomes concentrated and cheerful. The first sign that you are becoming religious is that you are becoming cheerful. When a man is gloomy, that may be due to dyspepsia, stomach trouble. But it is not religion. A pleasurable feeling is the nature of sattva. Everything is pleasurable to the sattvika man, and when it comes, know that you are progressing in yoga. All pain is caused by tamas, so you must get rid of that. Moroseness or sadness is one of the exalts or achievements of tamas. The strong, the well-knit, the young, the healthy, the daring alone are fit to be yogis. To the yogi, everything is bliss. Every human face that he sees brings cheerfulness to him. That is the sign of a virtuous man. Misery is caused by sin and by no other cause. What business have you with clouded faces? It is terrible. If you have a clouded face, do not go out that day. Shut yourself up in your room. What right have you to carry this disease out into the world? When your mind has become controlled, you have control over the whole body. Instead of being a slave to the machine is your slave. Instead of this machine being able to drag the soul down, it becomes its greatest helpmate. Then we read the next sutra, Santoshad anuttamaha sukhalabhaha. From contentment comes anuttama, superlative, happiness. Holy Mother Sri Sri Sharada Devi has said that there is no treasure or happiness greater than contentment. If you read her life, you will instantly know what power these words hold. because she was the embodiment of contentment. We have read that the word Bhagavan means the one who is endowed with Shat Aishwarya. Shat Aishwarya means 6 great glories or splendors or treasures. Shankara writes in the introductory commentary to the Bhagavad Gita that one is called Bhagavan or God who has these 6 riches or treasures naturally. The epithet Bhagavan describes his unique qualities, like one who holds unlimited knowledge, jnana, Aishwarya. Aishwarya means richness, Shakti, energy, Bala, strength. These are all in unlimited proportion. Virya, boldness, and Tejas, splendor. Jnana Shakti Balavirya Tejo bhi sampanna. Sada sampanna, always endowed with these qualities. All these are included in the word santosha, contentment. These positive qualities show that there is a total lack of negative qualities. Shankara mentions jnanam or knowledge as the first of the 6 qualities because it is the cause of all other 5 qualities. Therefore, jnanam means knowledge, that is the guiding principle behind viveka or the power of discernment or differentiation. Viveka generates santosha, the sense of enoughness, adequacy, sufficiency, etc., which in one word is called contentment. There is a story regarding the Greek saint and philosopher Socrates. One day, Socrates went through the marketplace of Athens. Since he was a wise man, he did not only see the things in the marketplace, but he observed them in the context of the market and its need in life and also in spiritual life. Later on, he told his disciples, I went through the marketplace, saw many things, but what I observed is that there are so many things in the marketplace which I do not need. This is not a negative virtue. This is very much positive because this wisdom helps us to enjoy contentment, which is even equal to the contentment of God. God is contented because He has all, even though He Himself does not need anything. The yogi becomes contented because he does not need more than the minimum. Why should I say only a yogi? Anybody, whoever has withdrawn the senses from their worldly objects, would be contented. Sri Krishna said in the Gita, Apuryamanam achala pratishtham, etc. The ocean is ever being continuously filled by the rivers, but still it remains steady within its bounds. Similarly, objects of desire may be entering a realized yogi always, may be entering there. But since the yogi does not want them, even though they come unsought, they do not cause any disturbances in the mind of the yogi, like Socrates experienced. Because such a person attains to peace and contentment, not he who runs madly after objects of desires. That is what Sri Krishna says, na kama kami, not those who run after desires. We should not feel that we are the most neglected beings because we do not have much to enjoy. Everything is in our possession when our thought is in unison with the Almighty's will. As everything belongs to God, they should belong to the yogi of realization. This is a truth discovered by both non-dual Vedanta and yoga, even though it may irritate the understanding of many a dualist. There is an elaborate account in the Taittiriya Upanishad about how our happiness has its grades. Each and every enjoyment brings happiness in bits. There are bigger and greater happiness at different higher levels of our awareness. At the highest level, the happiness is equated with the happiness of knowing our own selves, knowing who I am. That is called self-realization. That is the highest happiness. The divine commentator Vyasa quotes the Vishnu Purana here. Yacha kama sukham loke, etc. That is, there are two types of happiness that people derive. Number one, by the enjoyment of material objects, and also number two, by going to higher lokas like the heavens, etc. But the happiness of one who has controlled greedy desires to enjoy is 16 times more than both of these two types of happiness. 16 times. The aphorism uses the superlative adjective saying, Anuttama sukha labha. It experiences the happiness which has no peer, no comparison. This happiness is always with us because it is always within us. There is a nice story. Once a rich man was very sick. He had no peace of mind because of his pressing and stressful work of maintaining his business. He went out in search of peace. Someone told him that there lived a hermit at a nearby place who was always peaceful and happy. That man could help. The rich man went to the saint. The saint asked him to come back next day. As the rich man returned to the hermit next day, he saw that the hermit was searching for something in front of the house. The rich man asked the reason for his frantic search and came to know that the hermit had lost his ring. Both of them searched there for a while. Now getting restless, the businessman asked the hermit, "Are you sure that you lost it here?" The hermit replied innocently, "No, sir. I lost it inside my room in the house. But there is no light there in the room. Hence I am searching for it in broad daylight." The businessman became angry. He said, "You fool, you should bring light in the room and search for the lost ring there." "Similarly, my dear," said the saint to the rich man, "you should search for peace inside your own self. Stop searching for it in your business and outside. Bring your own self into the focus of your own light. That is your pure mind. Then you will find contentment and its product, peace." Then the next aphorism is dealing with the next niyama or rule called tapaha, the third of the 5 rules, the niyama quintat. Kayendriya siddhihi asuddhikshayat tapasaha. The result of mortification or austerity or hardship in spiritual practices is bringing powers to the organs and the body by destroying the impurity. Holy Mother has clearly said that the practices of japa and meditation together with the practice of physical and mental austerities help us only to remove the impurities of both body and mind. When impurities of the body and mind are removed by spiritual practices, the yogis or spiritual practitioners, any spiritual practitioner, are freed from their dependence on the body and mind. They are not controlled by the forces of the pranas, the mind, the bodily requirements, etc. They are not controlled by their susceptibility to hunger and thirst, their choice of place and accommodation, their breathing, etc. Rather, they control those and bring those to the level of their minimum need. These are called austerities, which are meant for removing the avarana malas, the impurities that cover our real nature. Let me recall an incident that happened in one of our monasteries. There was a novice who was engaged with some urgent work that day for a long time. He became free in the evening just when the evening prayer in the temple would start. He was hungry, tired, so he went to the kitchen searching for the kitchen boy. But by the time he found the boy, the prayer in the temple was also over. One of the seniors inquired why he did not attend the evening prayer. After hearing his story, the senior said, "What happened in effect, you know? You did neither attend the prayer nor eat your snacks. But snacks can be eaten after prayer. But prayer will not wait for you anyway." The Yoga Sutras says that the controls over the demands or needs of the body will enable one to acquire supernatural power over and or regarding the body. As the impurities are removed, the mind becomes free to acquire yogic powers, which are sometimes called miracles. They acquire miraculous powers about using their body and sense organs. These yogic powers do come to a yogi as a matter of course, but they are not attracted by the charms of the powers. Rather, they ignore them and remain one-pointed to the one spiritual goal called mukti or liberation, salvation. Even the realized souls in any path do gain these siddhis or supernatural powers, not only through the yoga practices. Any spiritual practice will bring these siddhis to the practitioners in course of time. Because these powers that belong to the Prakriti or nature are controlled by the Purusha, the Atman, and by the Atma Jnanis or realized souls. That is why even the Mundaka Upanishad recommends that one who is desirous of attaining material prosperities, bhuti kamaha, should go to a realized soul, Atma Gam, to get boons to fulfill their worldly purposes. These people belong to the criteria of two types of devotees, as has been narrated by Sri Krishna in the Gita, Artha and Artharthi. Artha means those who want to get rid of some suffering, and Artharthi means those who want something. Even though both the desires are worldly in nature, they are leading one to a spiritual person, not to any worldly one. Then the influence of the realized souls will surely help these people to find their way to God. That is the intention. Then the next aphorism number 44, Swadhyayat Ishtadevata Samprayogaha. Swadhyayat, by the repetition of the mantra, Samprayogaha, comes the realization of Ishtadevata, the intended deity. The meaning will be clearer when we translate the word samprayogaha as proper use or application. Samyak prayogaha. In the usual condition of the mind, when we sit to repeat our mantra, the connection between the mantra and its meaning does not happen properly and automatically. It is seen that we are uttering the mantra mentally, while at the same time the same mind is moving about somewhere else. But if we keep the habit of reading the scriptures as a regular spiritual practice, then many doubts of the mind are cleared and the mind is free and able to hold on to the mantra and its meaning together for a long time. Then we have less interest in things other than our goal. Scriptures are a great help for our realization of our chosen ideal. Now this much is about one aspect of the rule Swadhyaya. There is another aspect, that is the intended meaning of the sutra here. If a mind is made firm by the study of the scriptures, it is not difficult for such a mind to meditate on any gods and goddesses and propitiate or please them. Such gods can also come forward to fulfill our desires. Then we read aphorism number 45. Samadhi siddhi Ishvara pranidhanat. Pranidhanat means by sacrificing all to Ishvara God comes samadhi. That is the meaning. The word Ishvara pranidhana is being used the third time here in the Yoga Sutras. The meaning is the same, surrendering all to God. The commentator Vyasa uses a very significant word to explain what is meant by surrendering all. He says, surrendering all means surrendering sarva bhava, all our efforts and aims to God. All our efforts and aims should be surrendered to God. Or, in other words, making God our all in all. All in all means, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita, God is all in yat karosi, whatever you do, yad ashnasi, whatever you eat, yat juhosi, whatever you offer, or dadasi yat, give away as donation or charity, and yat tapasyasi, whatever austerities you perform, do that as madarpanam, as an offering to me. It is like you live in God, eat in God, sleep in God, and so on. There is nothing but God in your mind. That is what Sri Krishna says in the Gita. All the jivas, the created beings, are in me. In me. There is a famous stotra or poem in Sanskrit written by none other than Sri Shankaracharya, the high priest of monism, non-dual Vedanta, has written this poem. The 8 stanza stotra or poem known as Bhavani Ashtakam is written in praise of the Divine Mother Bhavani. I have not found any other composition that would so meticulously explain what Ishvara Pranidhana or surrender to God actually means. I will not hesitate to spend time to run through the meaning of the whole of the composition. It will do good to the listeners. What a unique composition it is. I know many of you are familiar with the Bhavani Ashtakam. Still, it is worthwhile to listen to the stotra again. The famous original composition in Sanskrit goes like, as you know, na tato, na mata, na bandhur, na data, na putro, na putri, na bhrityo, na bharta, na jaya, na vidya, na vrittir mamaiva, gatistvam tvameka bhavani. I will give you the meaning only, without reciting the original poem further. The first stanza says that no material help is enough to take care of our soul excepting God or the Divine Mother Bhavani. So the translation is like this: neither the father nor the mother, neither any relation and friend, nor any benefactor, neither the son nor the daughter, neither the servant nor the husband, neither the wife nor the worldly knowledge, nor my profession, none can be my refuge. You are my refuge. You alone are my refuge, O Mother Bhavani. Then the second stanza speaks about our difficult situation surrounding us, which is created by us only. There too she is our only refuge. The stanza says, in this endless ocean of worldly existence, I am full of sorrow and fear. Drunken and intoxicated, I have drowned myself in excessive desires. I have always tied myself with the bondage of this worldly existence. In this condition, you, O Mother Bhavani, you alone are my refuge. Then the third stanza speaks of our competence to get out of our own situation. In this regard too, we have almost nothing to present as proof of our right to deserve our good. So the stanza reads like this: neither do I know charity nor meditation and yoga, neither do I know the practice of tantra nor any hymns or prayers, neither do I know worship nor do I practice the disciplines of yoga. Still, I have the courage to say that you are my refuge, O Mother Bhavani. You alone are my refuge. Then the fourth stanza says that I have not done any good work to deserve any consideration in my favor. And it reads, neither do I know virtuous deeds, nor pilgrimage. I do not know the way to liberation, and am with little concentration and absorption. I know neither devotion nor religious vows. Nevertheless, O Mother, you are my refuge. You alone are my refuge, O Mother Bhavani. The fifth stanza says, how much load or baggage of karma I have to account for. It says, I performed bad deeds, associated myself with bad company, cherished bad thoughts, have been disobedient always. I did not perform my traditional duties, am deeply engaged in bad conducts. My eyes saw this world with bad intentions. My tongue always spoke false things. Still, you are my refuge. You alone are my refuge, O Mother Bhavani. The sixth stanza says something like this: see, Mother, I do not care about any transcendental goal, did not inquire about my Creator also. So this stanza reads, Little do I know about the creator Brahma, the sustainer Vishnu, about Shiva, or about Indra, the king of gods. I do not know anything about sun god, the maker of the day, or the moon, the light in the night. I do not know about other gods. Hence, I always seek refuge in thee. You are my ultimate refuge. You alone are my refuge, O Mother Bhavani. The seventh stanza mentions how I am seeking the Divine Mother's protection. It says, during dispute and quarrel, during despair and dejection, during intoxication and insanity, and in foreign lands, in water and fire, in mountains and hills, amidst enemies, in forest. Please protect me, because now you are my refuge. You alone are my refuge, O Mother Bhavani. Then the last and the eighth stanza continues with more information of my incompetence to draw her passionate feeling for her needy child. Now the mind of the chanter has come to the point of perfect surrender. Hence he or she prays saying, O Mother, I am helpless, poor on all counts, afflicted by old age or disease, very weak and miserable, always with a pale face, always surrounded by and lost in troubles and miseries. Who is there excepting you, O Mother Bhavani, who would be my only refuge? So Shankaracharya has given an account of so many things here, which are actually a narration of what we lack in, and therefore it speaks of our helplessness, and then alone our surrender to God becomes complete. When we know that we have nobody else excepting God to take care of us, then this surrender has its meaning. And there this word Ishvara Pranidhana will find its purpose. So I will stop here today. I will end by chanting Om once. Om